Our next speaker is somebody who's really made it and made it very quickly. Uh, Let me introduce Yaghi. Jan is a co-founder and CEO of Veron Incorporated, a computer software company. And Jan is also a TypeQuest alumni. In fact, he's the winner of the TypeQuest 2010 competition. Veron has received a substantial amount of financing from leading Canadian venture capital fund in a very, very difficult market scenario that everybody discussed here. I just want to give a sense to our friends here that it was 2010 and now you're there.
Well, true. Before we get to that slide, just, I'm always very excited to talk to entrepreneurs and potential entrepreneurs. In my opinion, there can never be enough people who just want to do something new as opposed to just get a job at a bank or at a consulting firm. So my path, what I'm trying to do here, what I'd like to do here today is talk very briefly about how I got to where I am today in terms of financing, and most importantly, where I failed and where I think I derived the most learning from, and hopefully pass that on, so that if you do the mistakes that I did, at least I warned you, but hopefully you won't do the mistakes that I did. But before I get there, the one thing that gets me excited the most is pitching about what we're doing, telling people what we're doing. And I learned this from a great guy called Peter Evans at Mars. He told me, Jad, we pitched to him once when we told him, hey, Peter, we're getting to the semifinals at time. He said, Jad, come here, pitch to me. So I pitched him. And he said, look, you've got a good technical pitch. I understood what you're doing, I got it, right? But you're not a show horse. So that struck me. He's like, you're a workhorse, you're not a show horse. And it struck me why? Because there's one very important lesson. There's two important lessons there. First is talk to lots of people, pitch to lots of people, learn from everybody. The second thing is that it's all about selling something. And getting financing is about selling your vision for what you want to change. And if you can't sell that vision, you're not getting your money, right? At least in my opinion. And so I always take a point to practice my pitch, especially since I haven't practiced in a long time. So, and I this golden rule, practice your pitch. Some of the best feedback I got were from 14-year-old kids. My friends' nephews were just playing games, and I told them what we're doing. And they're like, that sucks, dude, or something like, I would use that. And you learn from these people. I know so many entrepreneurs who wouldn't practice their pitch. I meet people, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I don't want to tell you, it's secret. You want to sign an NDA? No, I'm not going to sign an NDA. If you don't want to share it with me, you're a loss. But I know that you can learn a lot from meeting lots of different people, and that is my golden rule number one. Pitch, and practice. So what are we doing? Any gamers here? 1, 2, 3, great. Okay, young male, that's about everybody who put their hands up. I'm hoping more people put their hands up in the future. But so what we're doing is, if you've ever played games or seen games, it's a really long process to create the content, the graphics, the 3D content, the graphics, the game itself. It's so hard, it's so long. That's why, some games take 5, 6, 7 years. Duke Nukem took, 11 years to develop? Most of it, a big chunk of it, 60% of the cost of producing a game goes to the graphics, to the content, right? That's A. B is that only technical people can do it. You need literally, you need first artistic capability. That's a given, and then you need 3 or 4 years of technical experience to be able to create games, the content for games. So what we're doing is we're shortcutting all of that. We're creating a platform that automates, or mostly automates, with sparse human input, game content. And I'm not just talking about games. I'm talking about any simulation environment that needs 3D models, whether it's a film or something else. But we're focusing on games for now. Take something, and create it very quickly, very crisply, very sharply, and allow basically anybody to be able to do it. That's what we're trying to do at my company. So that's my very quick 30-second pitch. So Jim, I think, was talking about the 2-minute pitch, or was it you, Barry? If you can't sell it in 30 seconds, right? My book, you're out. Some people, I think VCs are trying to be polite when they say 2 minutes, but you've got 15 seconds before they whip their BlackBerry out. So really, that's the only margin you have. So practice your pitch in 30 seconds. Otherwise, You know, don't knock on VC's doors before you got your 30 pitch, second pitch done. And practice, practice, practice. Please practice with everybody you meet. You never know. You never know when you're going to get that good idea from whom and from where. So our path, our long path to getting our capital. I just jotted down my notes, but I'm going to walk through a story here. So basically, this idea started out with my co-founder. You know, a long time ago, 2001, he worked with this great, brilliant computer scientist called Alan Kay. They wanted to do virtual worlds. They figured out it's very difficult to create content for virtual worlds. So he thought about, how do I make it easier to do that? You know, fast forward, I met him through some friends, and you know, we became fast buddies. We shared the same vision, and we decided to start raising funding for this. So the first thing I did was I rang up my mom and dad, and I rang up all my uncles, and everybody I know, and you know, that I'm comfortable telling them, hey, I want $1,000 bucks. I'm doing this great idea. Well, what are you doing? Well, you know what? I don't know what it is we're doing yet, but we're doing something great. Do you believe in me or not? That's basically what they're putting their money in. They're not putting their money in the vision. They're putting their money in you, right? Doesn't matter what you're doing, right? As long as you have faith that you're going to do something good. So always start with friends and family. And then the other F, the third F, is fools. You know, there's always people that you may know. They have some cash, but you're not sure of. Unfortunately, I tried to tempt a couple of fools I knew, but it didn't. They didn't bite. But always start with friends and families. We raised $30,000. That helped us get started a provisional patent. It helped us also get you know, some demos, marketing material out of the way, and some consultation about what are we trying to buy, if we can actually do this or not. So that 30K lasted for 6 months. And again, feedback, pitch, everybody, everywhere. You know, I go sometimes when I can't sleep at night, I open up my 2009 pitch decks, and I feel like somebody just shoot me in the head about how my pitches were, right? They evolved so much. Please practice your pitches, please, please. You can never do that enough, right? So, and the best way to practice is enter business case competitions or case competitions. Anywhere you see prize money, go for it. You know, anywhere you see, you know, a competition, come pitch, go for it. You'll learn. There are judges in that room who know what they're talking about, or even if they don't know what they're talking about, they'll probably tell you something useful. And you're gonna, you know, you develop a bullshit radar. You get very well at telling who's gonna tell you something useful or not. But pitch, because you never know until they start speaking, right? Then after that, we, you know, this, in my case, there's another factor that helped us get our money, which is luck and timing. You know, I can never think how lucky I was, because there's this one guy, back when I was a consultant at Monitor Group, that I helped him, you know, through introducing him to some people, and they were building, they had some patents around heavy crude refineries. I introduced him to some guy I knew in Saudi Arabia, and you know, they made a connection and they made some business and they started making some money, and I wasn't in the loop. You know, there was nothing formal. I never asked him for anything. So I met him over drinks, and I was telling him what I was doing, and he's like, "That's interesting. You know, how much money do you need to continue going forward?" And I said, "Well, I need $500,000. You know, that I calculated that's going to take us to our next hump, which was another couple of patents, hire 1 or 2 developers, and start going. Back then, that was my." By hump, I mean, you know, the next level of value that the speakers were talking about. So I threw out $500,000 there, and he said, "Look, I got $150,000 in cash. I just made off some trade, and you know, I'm looking to invest it somewhere. And you seem like a good investment." And I'm like, "Okay, let's talk." You know, it happened, and we got an angel investor. So talk to people. You never know when you're going to get that money. You know, in my case, I admit it was luck, it was good timing. But if I hadn't talked to him, if I hadn't bothered taking him out for a drink, telling him what we're doing and pitching to him, he wouldn't have offered. And I wouldn't have known he had that kind of money, because I didn't know he had that kind of money. So we got $150K from an early angel investor. We used that money to build more prototypes and file 2 full patents. And all this while, for a year and a half, you know, 7 to 10 pitches. I smell somebody could potentially have money, I go pitch to them. I find a way. I smell somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that has money. I pitch to the first person so that he can introduce me to second, introduce me to third, and then get to the one with the money. I'm serious. That's how I did it. And in my opinion, that's the only way to get money in these markets, right? You gotta, every time I see a person, I don't see just that person. I see these little links going out behind them, right? And they're connecting to other people. I want to know who your connection is, but I gotta go through you. So I'm gonna pitch to you and impress you, right? And I kept doing that. And you know, on an average month, I'd spend $2,000, $3,000 out of my own pocket before we got our angel investment. Lunches, coffees, drinks, you know, booze them up, talk to them, sweet talk them, don't sweet talk them. Figure out who you have to be rough with and aggressive with. Figure out who you have to be smooth with, and so on and so forth. I kept doing that cycle over and over again, and until, you know, we won Type West, and that was, in my opinion, you know, the straw that got us somewhere. We attracted the attention of lots of VCs in that room, and you know, things went well from there. And then we got our VC investment, and then that brought a lot of follow-up investment. With it, we got the OETF investing in us. We also had the IF investing in us, and we had a lot of other super wealthy angels who, once they saw a VC come on board, they're like, "Oh, this sounds like a cool idea. They did their due diligence. They must be smart." Sorry, but yeah, we got a lot of money, right? We got a long runway to Jim, right? We got that long runway. We're taking off. Our plane is full. Our team is you know, a very sharp, smart team. We spent a long time building what I consider to be the perfect startup team, and we're taking off. And there's nothing that's going to stop at this point. And as to Jim's point, we have enough cash now to last us for around 2 years, if we assume we're not making any revenue. And you know what? If we're not going to make any revenues in 2 years, in the next year, you know, I'll probably shoot myself in the head. Because it's all about selling what you build. A lot of entrepreneurs come up to me, they pitch an idea, I'm like, okay, where do you make your money? They're like, oh, I haven't thought of that question yet. Well, why are you doing this then? Why should I invest in you? You're not a nonprofit. You don't have a vision to cure the world of malaria. Maybe you do. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make fun of it, but I'm just trying to say, you got to know where you're making your money, right? You got to sell this, and if you don't have a clear vision of what you're selling, how do you know what you're building? So that's how we got. That's mostly our path to raising money. Lessons learned, other than pitching. That's the golden rule. That's not a lesson. These are the mistakes that I did, right? A, get a good lawyer. Someone who's cheap, someone that you can, you know, who can, if you don't pay them their bills on time for 160 days, they're not going to send they're not going to leash their dogs. Who know that you're going to make some money and pay them eventually. But find a good lawyer. I can't tell you how, you know, our financing was delayed by around 3 months because we had a crappy lawyer. Because I decided to, you know, find the cheapest lawyer I could find. Like, they're just lawyers, you know, they're all the same. No, they're not. There are good lawyers, there are not so good lawyers. Find the good ones through reputation, talk about them, you know, and make them your buddy. Make them understand what you're doing, and really take good care of them, because they'll take good care of you. Because when you're writing your financial documents, I've never read our full investment brief. I can't even begin to understand the language in our investment documents. You know, it's what, this thick, literally this thick. I can't read it. I can't understand it, right? I gotta trust what this lawyer's telling me. And I know they're gonna do their best, but you know, the not so good lawyers are gonna miss some points, not out of, you know, they wanna burn you or anything, but you know, whatever. Find a good lawyer, really. This was the worst mistake I did. The second is find good co-founders, you know? Everybody's been talking about, this is a team sport. It is. You're not doing this by yourself, right? You know, and in my opinion, when I meet some entrepreneurs and I tell them, well, you know, tell me about you and your co-founder. How are you getting along? If they tell me we're getting along fine, you know, in my mind I'm thinking bullshit, or you don't know, or this is not a good relationship. If you're not fighting every day, you're not a good team. You know, you gotta, and I don't mean fighting like fighting. I mean creative tension, right? I want to go here. No, I want to go here, right? And trying to find which is the best way. You know, find the middle path. And the best co-founders, in my opinion, are somebody who comes from the art side and the technical side, and somebody who comes from the sales side. Somebody to build it and somebody to sell it, right? Both very different polar opposites, not opposites, but they're sufficiently different that you have to find the common ground. You got to know what you're building, build it good, and you got to sell it good. So if I meet an entrepreneur who tells me, oh, I got a great idea, I don't care. You know, as everybody's been saying before, how are you going to build it? Who are you going to build it with? Where's the creative tension? Right, and you know, my team, they have a nickname for me and my co-founder. They call us Fire and Water, right? I'm the fire guy. My co-founder is the water guy. He's always mellow and cool, right? And nothing bothers him in the world. And I'm like, good, come on, we gotta sell this, man. Get off your ass and work. He is working, but you know. So find a good team. Find a good balance between your co-founders, whether it's 2 or 3 people, right? And my other advice for you, and this is something I failed to do with my co-founder because I didn't realize it, is you're going to have, sometimes that creative tension is going to get too much for you to handle. So and you're going to have real fights, and you're going to, like a marriage, man, you're going to spend 2 weeks not talking to each other, just taking care of the business. Hey, sign this paper, okay, here you go, and don't look at me, and until you work your way out. So my advice is not only find a good co-founder, but also find somebody who's well respected by both of you, who can mediate, right? So that when you do have those fights, because you will, if you have a good co-founder, you have somebody who can give you good advice and cool you off and tell you, hey, Jad, chill out, right? I know you want to sell this, but Matthew has a good point or whatever, right? You need that mediation force, and it's very important to have that person or persons on board your team very, very soon. My third piece of advice is, have very strong opinions, but loosely held. What I mean by that is be ready to switch opinions. You're not a politician. You can switch opinions. Nobody's going to hold it against you. Because you know what? If you're stubborn about something and you go to the market and you say, I want to sell that licorice ice cream, I know people like it. And ends up everybody on the way was telling you, no, it's a bad idea, and you're like, I'm stubborn, I know this is a good idea. And then you reach the market and nobody buys it. Sorry, dude, it's your fault. Right? Listen to people, have strong opinions, but if you see facts that go against about what you believe, be ready to switch. Right? Don't flip-flop on anecdotal evidence, but look at the facts. If the market is saying we don't like it, then they don't like it. Right? I've seen so many entrepreneurs who are, there's this myth that entrepreneurs are stubborn. Maybe a couple of good lucky ones were stubborn and made it big, but we don't know about the millions of stubborn entrepreneurs who fail. That's the problem, is we don't see that evidence, right? But in my opinion, and from many people I've seen fail personally, you're stubborn, you're out. So be ready and going to learn. And finally, you know what? And this goes to point number 3 somewhat, is you have to have no pride. You have to learn how to beg, in essence, right? You meet a person who knows somebody who knows somebody. Don't be shy about telling them, hey, I'm raising money for my company. Do you mind if you introduce me? You don't have to say it in those words, but that's the effect you're trying to say. I've also met a lot of people, and I used to be like that. It's like, yeah, I'm the co-founder of this company. Yeah, who are you? Yeah, you're a 19-year-old computer grad. Yeah, well, you know what? That computer grad, you're probably going to want to hire him or her, right? Or they're probably giving you good advice. So be humble about listening to them. Be, I don't know who said it. I think it was Benjamin Franklin. I'm proud I killed my pride, or something like that. Just be humble, and you never know when you're going to learn from or who you're going to learn from. That's about it. So I'm happy to take your questions if you have any.
Good stuff.
Yes.
So you talked about pitching to everybody that you encounter.
Yes.
And asking them, so how do you ask them if they know somebody that you should go and pitch to? How do you know? You have done some research beforehand, that they know what? You're going through LinkedIn?
You could do research. You could look in your LinkedIn, stuff like that, but usually I just depend on luck, right? And volume. It's about volume. You pitch to 100 people, right? 99% of them are going to tell you I can't help you, but that 1% is what you're looking for, right? So I usually go for volume. That's my strategies. Just pitch to everybody. You never know when a connection's going to be made, right? Suresh and I were just talking now, and he's like, oh, I got this company in Montreal, Toon Boom, like I can introduce you, right? And some other guy I think was doing something in real estate. I'm like, there's keywords that click, right? And the more you pitch, the better you're going to become at when you pitch to somebody. You can tell from their eye and body language if they're interested or not. If you see a little interest about a sequence of words you said, home in on it. Hey, you don't have to say I saw you interested, but you learn how to tell these things, and then you focus in on it, and then you ask, well, do you know anybody in this industry who might be able to help, or do you know anybody who has a cool $50,000 in spare? You never know, right? You'll find. What I'm trying to say is do it a lot, and you'll learn by yourself what's working and what's not. But do it. That's it. Yeah.
So when you're asking for funding or money from all these people,
Right.
what are you offering in return? Like my issue is what am I giving up? How much of my company am I giving up?
My answer?
Yeah.
I never cared. That was one of the points of conflict between me and my co-founder, for example. I never cared, right? Why? I'll explain my philosophy, and I'll explain my co-founder's philosophy, and you can make your own decision. I never cared for one reason. Because I want to build a reputation, right? I want to build a reputation that I can build companies, that I can make companies. And if I make 1 million or 10 million, doesn't matter, because next time I want to go raise money for my next company, all I can say is, look, I created this. And that's all I have to do, right? Or a little more than that. But I want, my goal here is not just to create a company and make money. That's nice, but more important to me is to create a reputation. So I don't care what you have to offer me. When I had that 150,000 thrown in my lap, I didn't.
No, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I meant, sorry.
Yes.
I meant the other way around. Like,
Okay.
you want to dilute your company. So someone's offering you 50 grand, someone's offering 150 grand.
Right.
How much are you giving up? How much, like?
It depends on how good you're negotiating with that person, right? Really, and you know what? You don't have much leverage. If you're a pre-revenue, pre-product company, you don't have much leverage. So you got to factor all these things in, and it all boils down to how good are you a negotiator with that person or not. And you know what? All I can say is that comes from experience. And surround yourself with people who can give you good advice, who you can, you know, at least, you know, hey, this is what I'm thinking of. I think of giving you 20% for 50K. Does that make sense? Ask other people's opinion, because really, and you know what? You ask 10 people, you're going to get 11 different answers. Nobody's going to have one consensus, but you have to build up your own mind, and only you can tell if this is a good deal or not. Yes?
So I'm definitely firing the company, and
Okay.
I'm going out setting all these meetings with potential clients,
Okay.
setting up like my PR plan. It all involves like getting to know new people, and I too pride myself on, you know, gaining credibility and my reputation as
pride.
well.
Yeah.
How do I convince Water of the urgency of living up to what I tell these people and coming up with like just sticking to our plan?
That's where you find your mediator, right?
That's him.
That's Water, your mediator.
That's the mediator.
Okay,
Water's-
so you know what? I've done both ways, the direct and indirect approach, and I found the indirect approach works best between fire and water. Find somebody who understands their language, understands your language. Not easy thing to do, but you can find these people and tell them, here's the situation I'm in. You know, and let them help you, let them coach you, let them guide you through it. Right? At least that's what I'm starting to do now. I'll tell you if it works or not later on, but it's better results than just going, you know, straight on, aggressive and direct. Right? That's my advice at least.
What a refreshing presentation, Brad.
Thank you.
Perfect.